Hello ladies and gentlemen and everyone watching. Today we'll be looking at the best video games ever. This is not a subjective video. In fact, this is all fact-based. So if you disagree with any of these picks, you're wrong. This video will include some of the most notorious games of all time. So like GTA, Minecraft, or most famously in my opinion, anime girl or boy? Question mark. But we all have our personal picks when it comes to games. This video is mainly focused on that idea. Sorry Tetris. And on top of all of that, I'm going to be joined by two of my best gaming friends ever. We're not in real life friends, I hate them. While in the video games, we slay mad pussy, yo. They're gonna have their own picks for their best games of all time. So this video is gonna have a good variety of all types of games. Before we fully jump in, if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, it's good to see you again. Alright, let's get into it.
Guardian? Eyes up, Guardian.
Destiny. Destiny is a first-person shooter released by Bungie Inc., High Moon Studios, and Radical Entertainment in 2014. Destiny was Bungie's first new console launch, the last one being a little-known game as Halo. And Destiny in its prime? Oh man. It was non-stop entertainment. The game which featured a shared world. That means whenever you loaded up into a game, you were already with a bunch of other people. And from there you can decide to head on to missions, raids, strikes, or just free roaming a planet of your choice. And of course, PvP, which was actually pretty good, at least in my opinion. The shooting was fun to play, which I think is the most important thing about a shooter. But on top of that, I thought the balancing actually worked pretty well, especially because the game was loved by the developers. They took constant care of it. Every week there was like patches, just to make sure the balancing was right. But the thing is, a sniper to the head, that killed someone. I don't like taking 2 shots with a sniper to the head. That's not how that works. But speaking of the guns, they were fun, and it was fun to grind to collect them. The game where you and your friends play as Guardians, and can either choose a class between Warlock, Titan, or Hunter. And Warlock was the best, and there's no arguing that. But all 3 classes have their own special abilities that can aid in a mission to reap some good old rewards. And if you're playing with me, rewards that you usually get from playing raids. Pretty much a more difficult campaign mission. But the loot you gained after finishing a raid was so rewarding. Especially just the way that it popped out. That satisfied my tism bones. I got a couple of them. You want to guess where one of them is? But the loot itself was one of the biggest highlights of Destiny. But before we fully jump into the highlights, I have to admit that the lowlights of Destiny were pretty strong. And it was mainly seen at launch. I mean, the campaign was only like 6 hours. There's not that much bone on the meat. It's like beef ribs when you smoke them. But the campaign being so short was bittersweet. The gameplay itself was so riveting and fun that it left so many people wanting more, including my little child self. My little fat big back self. Self-love. But later it came out with like 500 DLCs that added onto the game. And then on top of that, the DLCs you had to pay for, so it just really felt like a giant cash grab. And personally, I think that's what killed the franchise. I know Destiny 2 love is still very strong, but they lost a lot of players. Like me. This video is about the best video games. As the game grew with the DLCs and the patches, and the love from the developers, as well as from the community, the game grew rapidly. It felt like every new addition was a step forward. As mentioned, balancing was always tweaked. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but at least they were working on it. Moreover, original, fun, and difficult areas, enemies, and small campaigns, as well as weapons, armors, and so much things to grind for. Destiny felt like an evolving game. And my personal favorite time of Destiny was the Taken King DLC. I loved running the King's Fall raid. Always running Warlock, Voidwalker, Red Death, or Thorn if I felt groovy. And trust me, I was dripped the out. It took a while for Destiny to truly get on its feet, but once it did, it was running like Usain Bolt. Hell, I remember it was the reason I bought an Xbox One. It was my transition It was my transition over to the newer gen. Now, mind you, Xbox One when it came out was like $500 bucks. It was way too expensive for what it was. And I was only 14. I had a job at the time, but it was just youth sports referee, as well as coaching, but that didn't really pay much, especially because I don't think it was legal under labor laws for children, but I didn't question it because I was making money, and I like money. I'm a little cash poor. But I mustered up $550 just to get the Xbox One plus Destiny 1. You know what's really cool about the newer gen games? That's when they started introducing hundreds of gigabytes in their games. Now, I understand why they do that, but at the same time, I'm also looking at older games. I'm like, you know, they look pretty good. Yeah, sure, the graphics can be updated. I don't know how a 3.3 gigabyte gets turned into a 550 gigabyte game, but what the f do I know? I'm just a pebble in this river. That's all to say, I realized when I got home that I couldn't even play Destiny 1 because I couldn't download it. The Xbox One didn't come with enough storage itself, so I had to wait and save up more money for a 500 gigabyte hard drive. And then they're not cheap, and that blew big balls. And on top of all of that, the lackluster launch, I had high expectations for this game, and it definitely did not go well at the beginning. Yet it was able to do a big old wraparound.
I think I'll do a wraparound.
And now I consider it one of my favorite games of all time. It had non-stop replayable missions, with difficulty always posing enough of a challenge to be so rewarding if you managed to complete it. And it just felt good killing a boss and finishing the mission. That's besides the loot you'd get. And one thing you'll notice in this video is nostalgia plays a big part on all of these picks. There are so many nights where we had school the next day and we were just trying to grind out a raid. And my friends and I usually like a challenge in our video games, so we'd always do the hardest difficulty that would make us start balding at 14. But once we get over the big hill that's a giant robotic eye, with a shield that's just a bullet sponge, it was magnificent. It felt like sex. But like we weren't having sex, because we were playing a video game, and sex is scary. Finishing a raid was always a good note to end on, and it made me sleep peacefully, forgetting about the wars.
Have you ever watched Starship Troopers? That one obscure movie from the late 90s that didn't take itself very seriously?
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
Have you ever wanted that same goofy energy to be put into a video game? Look no further than Helldivers 2. This is the quintessential bug-killing, democracy-spreading, and more often than not, team-killing game. You and a group of 3 other players known as Helldivers. Oh my god, I can't do this, dude. Holy sh**. I don't know. Look at the camera, look at the camera. You and a group of 3 other players can dive into a planet that's being overtaken by either bugs, bots, or squids.
Oh, you guys made me.
Each of the factions are a little similar, but they are different in some respects. The 2 of us mainly play against bugs because bots aren't very fun to us, and squids are just bullet sponges. The gameplay revolves around you and your team completing objectives to spread democracy. This can vary from escorting priority citizens to safety, raising the flag of Super Earth, destroying bug eggs, or even outright killing as many bugs as possible. It's different for each mission, and there are also smaller objectives within each mission that will affect your overall mission rating. There are many upgrades you can get throughout the game that make a noticeable impact on gameplay, so it's a worthwhile game to grind. And the best part is, even a year after it came out, it's still getting content updates for free. Apart from those free content updates, there are also war bonds that come out, which are essentially like battle passes from Fortnite. They offer different types of weapons and armor, maybe other abilities that you wouldn't normally get, but they're actually worth it. It's one of the few times that I felt that buying a small little microtransaction was worth it. But you even don't really need to pay for them. You can actually just grind the game for super credits, which is the in-game currency. Otherwise, it's about $10. Helldivers attracts players with its fun gameplay loop and keeps you playing with its amazing grind. It's one of those games that's so hard to put down after completing a mission because you just want to get right back into the action. The game is available on PC, PlayStation 5, and more recently Xbox, so there's no excuse not to give your life for Super Earth. You should edit this in because I forgot to say the title of the game. Helldivers 2. Thank you, Pookie.
Baby, I love your way.
Minecraft.
Get the f*** out of my room! I'm playing Minecraft!
Is on the list, of course. Now, that was a game that my generation grew up with, in 2010, 2013. I started playing it around 2014, and ever since then, it's just been this incredible game that I end up having that 2-week Minecraft session for. And it's a really nostalgic game to me. The old aesthetic of Minecraft around the 2014, 2013 era on the Xbox was just peak. It was absolute peak. Just so good. Purple spray. Don't put this in the video. Please. Minecraft's a 3D sandbox adventure game developed by Mojang Studios where players can interact with a fully customizable 3-dimensional world made of blocks and entities. Its diverse gameplay options allow players to choose the way they play and create infinite possibilities. And the first version of Minecraft Java was actually released on November 18th, 2011. So a little bit before I started playing it.
Arkham City. This is the most generic video game pick for me, but generic doesn't mean bad. I mean, I consider vanilla generic, and vanilla's amazing.
There's good reason for my glistening skin.
Just most people will point to Arkham City as one of the best games of all time, and that's well warranted. It is one of the most immersive gaming experiences I have ever had, and I'm not saying I'm getting aroused by playing as Batman or anything.
You're dead?
Get out of here. Now, full warning, I'm a huge fan of Batman. I think most people are. Him and Spidey are like the most popular superhero characters. But the thing is, if this game wasn't faithful and a good adaptation of Batman, I would make a hoot and a holler. Like, if the Arkham series didn't depict the characters I fell in love with the animated show, as well as all the comics, people would let you know. I mean, look at these guys. Yuck. But that wasn't the case with any of the Arkham games. At least the ones that you play as Batman. The voice acting itself makes the game feel like a movie.
It was all a lie. There's nothing wrong with you.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
But the fact that you can do so much as Batman makes you feel like Batman. And that's the point of a game where you play as Batman. You have detective work that admittedly isn't that hard, but it does feel rewarding figuring things out. And speaking of rewarding, the combat... I've never felt so good paralyzing someone. The combat is so fun to play, it feels good, and when you get into a groove, it's almost like a dance, but beating the shit out of people. In the name of vengeance, of course. If the mesmerizing gameplay wasn't enough, the compelling story keeps you on a hook. Batman is placed in an isolated part of Gotham, and this prison-like area is ran by Hugo Strange, the main antagonist of the game, although a vast majority of Batman's villains are found in this game, all with differing motives that aren't always to kill Batman. I mean, most of the time it's to kill Batman, but they're not always trying to kill him. I say that because all of their stories are fleshed out. The characters feel whole, rather than, "Hi Batman, I got a bomb and you're gonna die because you're Batman and I'm evil." Kablam. And then of course there's just Joker running around.
Oh, shut up!
But the thing is, Joker has AIDS. And Joker can often be confused as the main antagonist of the game, as this character, voice acted by Mark Hamill, steals the spotlight whenever he's on scene. Hell, whenever he's not on scene, he's just yapping in the background. You kind of stop and just listen to him. And perfectly opposing him is Kevin Conroy, which personally just made this game feel so much like the animated series, it was just perfect for me. I grew up with the animated series and pretty much just the DC animated universe, like the old Justice League cartoons. Mwah. But it just put me in the shoes of a crime-fighting billionaire who's not on the Epstein files. He wouldn't do that. I feel like he'd probably break his no-kill rule for that. Like Joker, well, Joker's done some pretty bad things. But like an island full of them? He hasn't done that yet. Anyway, with all the replay value and the enticing story and gameplay, it portrays every character extremely well. No one's one-dimensional in this game, which makes every single interaction in this single-player story game feel meaningful. It is a perfect story game. And ever since I played Arkham City, which I think is personally my favorite, Arkham Knight is like right next to it. I know a lot of people didn't like the Batmobile in that and how overused it was, and that's definitely fair, because especially the final boss battle, like I wanted to fight Red Hood as if like he's the same level as Batman, because Red Hood usually is, just a little bit lower. And then on top of that, spoiler alert, Arkham Knight is the Red Hood, who's Jason Todd, who got beat and died. I don't really like how they did his character. I guess the whole like misleading thing, that's fine. Like I feel like you could have done it a bit differently, where you could just be like, yeah, I'm the Red Hood, I don't like you, and then Batman still has to figure out who he is, because Batman doesn't know who he is, but we do. But at the same time, it looks amazing. It's an 11-year-old game, and it looks like this. And it still has the enticing story and gameplay that the rest of the Arkham games had. It's just Arkham City felt more immersive than all the other ones. Now personally, the Arkham games, like these ones, they're my favorite games of all time.
Left 4 Dead 2. Over the years, there have been many zombie games. Dead Island, Call of Duty Zombies, Dead Rising. But there's always been one game that stuck out from the crowd. I'm of course talking about Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2 was released in 2009 by Valve Corporation, the lovely guys behind Steam. It is the co-op zombie shooter. Similar setup to Helldivers, where you're in a team of 4, however these are actual distinct characters with lore behind each of them. There's a series of campaigns which are levels separated by smaller sections. You need to make your way through each level until you get to what's called a safe room. The safe room has ammunition, health, weapons, anything that you need, and offers a bit of a break from the onslaught of infected. The zombies in Left 4 Dead, known as infected, are humans that were infected by the green flu virus. There are different levels to it though. There's common infected, which are like cannon fodder, but they can outnumber you fast, and they're a special infected. These are infected with certain distinct abilities and mutations that make them a little harder to kill, and their main objective is to take you away from the rest of the group. There's also the tank. The tank is the big bad, he's ruthless, and he'll do anything to take you down. At the end of every campaign is the finale. It usually has you holding out or completing a small objective while holding out. It's a constant wave of infected and usually ends in 2 tanks near the end. I have a lot of great memories playing Left 4 Dead, especially during lockdown.
Crazy? I was crazy once.
Just one of those games that you can hop on with your friends and even randoms and have such a great time mowing down hordes of infected. You can easily let time slip away while playing the game because it's just so addictive. You can start playing at night and a couple games later it's 6 a.m. and you need to go to work. Each game is slightly different due to the enemy AI known as the Director. It keeps things fresh and you really can't predict what's going to happen every time. And despite being released in 2009, the game feels incredibly modern. Since 2020, when I started playing the game, I've put 480 hours into the game, and I don't see that number plateauing anytime soon.
Walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons,
One, this is a little controversial, but stick with me on this. Donkey Kong 64.
Okay.
If you hear that, you might get scared of it. I know that there's a really bad perception of it in today's game world, but honestly, I love that game. I grew up playing it kind of all the time. There's really just this whimsical and magical charm to it that not a lot of games really have anymore. And when you're a kid, the collectathon aspect is something that you tend to really enjoy. And even today, I enjoy going back and playing it because it's just a really fun collectathon. And can it be much? A little bit, sure, but it's something that I think people are able to get over and, you know, just get good at the game. It's a skill issue. Donkey Kong 64 was a Nintendo 64 video game that was actually developed by Rare. It was published by Nintendo and it was first released on November 22nd, 1999 in the United States. It's a sequel to the Donkey Kong Country trilogy that involves 5 monkeys, Diddy Kong, Chunky Kong, Lanky Kong, Tiny Kong, and DK himself, Donkey Kong, basically trying to kick some ass and take out K. Rool before he blows up their island.
Give me the crystal coconut, you big... something that starts with B.
Baboons?
Yeah, that'll work.
Nice car.
Wii Sports. Yeah, that's right, we're bringing up the classics. Bowling, golf, baseball, boxing, tennis, mat.
Grippy.
Wii Sports is a 2006 realistic sports game. It focuses on the gameplay, on spotlighting the motion sensing ability of the console, the Wii, as well as the controllers themselves, the Wii remotes. All 5 sports offered in the game focus on some sort of swinging motion. And you may be wondering, how can this game be all that great when the graphics look like this and the characters look like this? Well, the Miis you create from the Wii were the ones who were playing ball, or losing the mat. That piece of shit. And as a child, that felt riveting. 8-year-old me was in a video game. Sure, I looked like Balloony, but once I hit a home run, I'm the most popular dude in my home. The Nintendo game was such a good party game, especially for younger children like myself at the time. I'm not a young child anymore. I'm old and withered and broken and beat down. My sister and I would always play against each other. And not only was it a really good way to bond, which we really needed to do because she broke my elbow. She broke it. She did it on purpose, but she says she didn't do it on purpose, but she did. She did. Having a Wii as a child meant you were the cool kid on the block. So even if you were an inside child, which I definitely wasn't, people still wanted to hang out with you. I had friends. The game's ability to draw people in to enjoy a couple of hours with friends and family is truly what makes Wii Sports so notable to me. And Nintendo, I think, shines in party games. Mario Kart would have been another good inclusion for this list, but Wii Sports was remarkable to little doughboy me because it got me into console gaming. The Wii was my first console ever. Beforehand, I just had like an old arcade machine, and all I would play was 1991's Spider-Man, which is a f***ing banger. I'd always play as Hawkeye because he looked really cool, and then Jeremy Renner played him. I love Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner has his own social media where he talks about Jeremy Renner. But one faithful day, my dad brought home the Wii. And with the Wii came Wii Sports. And ever since that day that my dad brought that console home and the games, I would go on to find new games and more importantly, new communities that I can share my love of gaming with. So while Wii Sports isn't cram-packed with content, what it has is special. The ability to draw people together, as well as the easy accessibility of the console plus the game itself, as Wii Sports was pretty much just an introduction to the Wii. It's pretty much a tutorial on how to work the console. One of the funnest tutorials I've ever had.
2 of the afternoon watch and all's well.
Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion. Alright. Hear me out for a second. Yeah, how could you not already be in love with this game? That soundtrack is one of the best I've ever heard. Jeremy's soul is doing the Lord's work. Oblivion is one of those rare games that has aged like fine wine, but also aged like cheese.
Good God, man! You almost got the cheese done.
See, at the time, Oblivion was known for its Radiant AI, a technology developed by Bethesda that would make NPCs behave more lifelike. In 2006, it was a big deal, but it wasn't really as lifelike as everyone thought it was going to be. It resulted in some super weird NPC behavior.
Can I help you?
In fact, the whole NPC encounter meme can be traced back to Oblivion because of all the buggy encounters. Apart from the notorious bugs, which there are plenty of, Oblivion to me has such a charming art style. It really goes for this European high fantasy art style, and the whole game is vibrant and colorful. Part of why I go back to Oblivion is because of how beautiful it is. That and the quests. Oblivion has perhaps some of the best quests in the entire Elder Scrolls series. There are plenty of guilds to join that have their own quest lines, such as the Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild, Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, and the Arena, which isn't really a guild, but it has its own quest line. There's also the Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles DLC that add even more content to the game. No other expansions beyond that.
I had all and then most of you, some and now none of you.
Nothing that really sprung up the concept of microtransactions and ruined the gaming industry. Nothing to see here.
Peter. The horse is here.
Just a mountain worth of content, and every bit of it feels original and fun. Oblivion is a game that I hold very near and dear to my heart, because it's really one of those experiences that lets me escape.
Float like a feather.
There's so much to do in the game that I can't even scratch the surface of. Last year, Bethesda, in collaboration with Virtuo Studios, released a remaster of the game, and it reinvigorated my passion for Oblivion. Played it non-stop for over a month or two, just re-exploring the land of Cyrodiil and taking it all in once more. It's one of the better remasters made, in my opinion, because they kept a lot of the jank that made the game so recognizable, and it really showed that the people behind the remaster really cared about the game and knew its identity.
Come over here. I've got to ask you something. Something important. Shh. Just come over. I have a proposition for you. Best not to talk about it here. Meet me at the sewer grate, northeast of the Sher Gorath statue. Come after dark. Come alone.
But they also fixed some minor issues, like the level scaling issue, for example. Give Oblivion a try. It's truly one of those games you can't put down, and it has almost infinite replay value.
Oh, man. The bullshit piled up so fast in Vietnam, you needed wings to stay above it.
Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy is a 3D action-adventure platform game for the Wii, and it was released in the United States on November 12th, 2007. And it's the 11th entry in the Super Mario series, fun fact, and it's the third 3D platformer, and the first of what would be recognized in the retrospect as the course clear style game of the series. In the game, the player controls Mario in outer space, moving across spherical planetoids with their own centers of gravity. So same kind of formula as Mario 64, collect power stars, recharge the Cosmic Observatory, and kick Bowser's ass.
You're not even the fault.
And save Peach. This game, it was hard to pick between Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Galaxy, but I wanted to break the mold, so I ended up picking Super Mario Galaxy because the biggest thing for me was the soundtrack. They did a full orchestra of the soundtrack for this game, and it was probably just a really incredible experience to be able to make that and have it in a game as simple as a Super Mario game, especially. It was something that's just, it's really emotional.
Because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
If you just listen to some of the music in that game, it's something that's just really impactful. And not to mention the fact that you can also jump around planets, like if you know what I'm talking about, where you do a long jump on a small planet, and you're able to just kind of like circle around on a planet. It's the coolest fucking thing ever. I'm just going, oh God, it's so cool.
You got me, Lobster?
Garry's Mod. Garry's Mod, or more commonly known as Gmod, is a 2006 sandbox game by Facepunch Studios, and it was released by Valve, the creators of Half-Life 3.
What happened to him?
He died.
The sandbox game deserves its place on this list because of its amazing story. I might have to hold your hand throughout the synopsis because it's a pretty long story. The story involves
Rehab was supposed to be a fresh start, but no matter how many starts I get, there's always the same ending.
That's right. Nothing. Are you sold yet? Gmod, which is notorious on YouTube, holds so many doors for entertainment. When you first start up Gmod, you are welcomed with a couple of options. You can either start a new game or join a multiplayer game. If you want a more sandbox-friendly experience, I'd recommend starting a new game by yourself, just to see what the maps as well as the mods offer. But I would recommend before doing all of that is opening up the Gmod workshop. And I think this is the biggest con about Gmod. It's not the most easily accessible to the vast amount of people. Because what you have to do is go back to the main menu, go to add-ons, and then open up workshop. From here it will take you to the Gmod Steam page, specifically its workshop. Here's where you can download game modes, maps, skins, weapons, vehicles, all types of different things. And I would recommend every single person who wants to play Gmod to look up add-on share. If you download this mod, or add-on, you can then close this window and go back into the game of Gmod. From here, if you join a new multiplayer game, every mod that's in the game mode will be downloaded for you as you load up the game. I know a lot of younger people booted up Garry's mod after watching Vanoss, and when they started, they just saw a bunch of errors, and they're like, what the heck is this? This wasn't in Vanoss. A lot of people as me, I was so confused when I first started Garry's mod. If you get the add-on share, you'll be able to see everyone's characters. You'll be able to see their guns, you'll be able to see how the game mode works, as well as all the different fun maps that creators have made. Trust me, add-on share is what truly makes the experience of Gmod so great, and you can see its links through that. But back to the game itself without all the technicalities. In the multiplayer option, there are so many different game modes you can join. There's Trouble in Terrorist Town and Prop Hunt, which are my favorites, but there's also a lot of role-playing game modes. And in every game mode has a vast amount of servers on it. Within every single server is a different type of game, all based on the game mode you picked. So with Trouble in Terrorist Town, there's the classic Trouble in Terrorist Town, and then there's a version where there's first person, and there's different type of weapons. These servers can range from a vast amount of mods to just vanilla. And what makes every single server different is the communities within them. They're all people like you, just players, playing a game made by players. It's pretty much Roblox, but like the OG version and more adult. I don't know if that's the right terminology because there's a bunch of creeps on Roblox. But yeah. Now with all that being said, the worst part about Gmod is definitely some of the people on it. Like there are so many insufferable people there. A lot of them are like Discord or Reddit mods, and they sound like this. And they get really pissed off if you don't play their roleplay, even though it's not a roleplay server. Like you'll be playing Trouble in Terrorist Town, and they'll be like, hey, we're gonna kill you because you're not role-playing like us. And their roleplay is just like racism and slavery. It's like, you guys are so funny, and it's so obvious that you're white. And then when you say that to them, they're like, how do you know that I'm white? That's being racist. And it's like, bro. I don't want no war! And on top of that, it's like a cesspool of dudes who make women feel uncomfortable. And then the other side is like a ton of white knights. Like if you hear a girl in the Gmod game, you're gonna hear like 3 other dudes being like ultra nice to her.
Oh, princess. Princess, where are you?
And then they're gonna spew racial slurs to everyone else. With that being said, some of the nicest people I've ever met in the gaming community have been on Garry's mod. It's a good mix of people who are chill and a good mix of people who are probably gonna commit some sort of domestic violent act in their life. It makes it exciting, you know? Every server is a new server. And honestly, it's more because of the community that this game made this list, because without the community, well, the game would be dead. Like, no one playing it means you can't really play it. Sure, there's sandbox things and single player things to do, but at the same time, the fun game modes found within are usually always multiplayer. And if you have a good group of friends, you can definitely do a lot of the game modes just as a party. But it is undeniable how much playtime there is found within Gmod. I think it's the perfect sandbox game out there, with a community full of differing interactions at every corner. And I mentioned them before, but shout out to Vanoss and H2O Delirious, because I have so many hours in Prop Hunt because of them. That allure was spawned by their videos. And it really sucks that people are playing it less, because I genuinely still think that Prop Hunt is one of the funnest games out there. Especially for being a 20-year-old game. Do you feel old yet?
If I could save time in a bottle.
You see the gray hairs coming in yet? If you don't, it's because you're gray hair blind.
Who's that Pokemon? It's
Halo Combat Evolved. In the gaming industry, there rarely comes a game that redefines a genre, lays the framework for how that game should be. Halo is one of those games. Before Halo, console shooters were a mess. It's common to both aim and move with just one analog stick in games like GoldenEye from the Nintendo 64. It never felt quite right compared to playing a shooter like Doom or Duke Nukem on the PC at the time. However, when Halo released, it was a launch title for the Xbox, and it redefined console shooters for good. You can classify console shooters as before Halo and after Halo, because everything afterwards has its DNA. I know I've been going on about how this revolutionized console shooters, but I actually first experienced Halo on PC. Apart from being a launch title for the Xbox, it was also released on PC and Mac a couple years later. My dad had this old Gateway PC with a Pentium 4 with Halo installed. It couldn't even run the game correctly, but I still played the shit out of it. I would always hop into those small stations in the bridge on the Pillar of Autumn and pretend like I was manning the ship. The game was so compelling, and it really had me thinking I was in a spaceship or on this foreign alien ring. There's also so much awesome content on YouTube, both in the past and recently. There's a whole playlist of OG Halo videos, even from Halo 2 and Halo 3, that bring back so many memories of when Microsoft actually cared about this franchise. Recently, the YouTuber Inferno Plus came out with the Cursed Halo mod. It's essentially a mod pack that fundamentally changes Halo in some hilarious ways. There's a whole playlist of these videos where he showcases all the different changes. Halo will forever be one of my personal favorites, and I always come back to it now and then.
Halo Reach. Halo Reach is a first-person shooter video game that was set in the Halo universe, and it's a direct prequel to Halo Combat Evolved. It depicts the fall of Reach and the struggles that Noble Team faces during the inevitable downfall of it. It was developed by Bungie LLC, and it was published by Microsoft Game Studios solely for the Xbox 360, and it was announced by Joseph Staten during Microsoft's media briefing at E3 2009, and Reach was released on September 14th, 2010. Now, the Halo series I was introduced to later in middle school, and it was just a series that really stuck with me. I tended to appreciate the story when I first started playing it. Sure, it was a first-person shooter, and that was like all the craze when I was in middle school. But Halo Reach was free with Xbox Live Gold during the time, and I thought, well, now's a better time than ever to really dive into it. And it was just one of those games that the story was incredible. And even at, my younger age when I was in middle school, it was a story that was just so impactful, seeing, spoiler alert, I know it's been years, Noble Team one by one dying off till, June manages to escape, and that's Noble 6 by himself on that final mission. It's just such an impactful story. You definitely have to play it. Even if you're not a fan of first-person shooters, just give it a try. You will not be disappointed at how great Halo Reach is.
10-4 on that. I'm out on stop. Stand by.
Sorry, just a little impatient,
Midnight Club Los Angeles. Midnight Club Los Angeles is a 2008 racing simulation game created by Rockstar San Diego and published by Rockstar Games, a little small company that likes to make some games every once in a while.
Tell you what's incredible, fucking incredible, you mother... Hey, why not? You got me out here. You wrote me into your crazy world of bullshit. If it was lies, new age shit, and arguments about how good life used to be, I could have stayed my ass in Los Santos.
Hello, Franklin.
What's up?
The base game itself holds 43 cars and 3 motorcycles that you can pay for after acquiring cash by winning street races that are placed in the streets of Los Angeles. I bet you thought they were placed in the streets of Minnesota. After grinding for cash through the races, you go through the ranks as a nobody to amateur street racer to the king of the streets. That's what they call me. Or if you don't really care about racing, you can just drive around, as the game has a giant map that you can just free roam without even worrying about the campaign. Midnight Club Los Angeles is the 4th and final installment in the series, and that big open world was kind of a teaser for what Rockstar is really known for nowadays. I mean, obviously they're known for GTA, but the big open worlds, and the ability to explore pretty much every single area of it, through the campaign or just roaming around, it goes to show you how Rockstar evolved with its formula. The map in Los Angeles was the size of all prior 3 games maps, combined into one. Now, sometimes when an open world games map is too big, it can feel less alive and just kind of boring. That's not the case in Midnight Club Los Angeles, because I was a very young child playing this game, and I did not care about racing because I wasn't that great at it. But the free roaming was so much fun. There's secret paths and things to find, but most importantly, the controls themselves was what made the game so much fun to me. There's the ability to press your trigger only halfway, and then you go the speed limit. I know that sounds mundane and boring, but as a child who couldn't drive, who really wanted to drive, that was life-altering. I spent so many hours just driving around at the speed limit, following traffic laws, and just being a good Samaritan. And of course, whenever I turn off the game, I just get into a police chase, which was also very fun to do in this game. But if you ever just drove around in GTA 5 like an NPC just because it's kind of calming, this game actually had the mechanics to do that. And what made it feel alive was not only the police presence, 12, but also the traffic felt alive, and throughout that traffic you can find other drivers, and if you flash your lights at them, you just start a street race. It makes the game solely about racing feel alive, which I feel like a lot of games that are just about racing kind of miss the mark on. I don't want to just drive in an open world. Like, let that be an option, but at the same time, let there be traffic and stuff. I want to do stuff that I can't do in real life. I've said it a couple times, but nostalgia plays a big part on our favorite game picks. Destiny 1 is one of my picks, and so is the Wii. And I think the fact that each of them were the first game I had for a new console was a big part in that. I mean, I just got a new console. I get to see all the upgrades that the new gen has to offer. And on top of that, whenever I bought a new console, I'd make sure I had enough money for a game, because what's the point of a console without a game? And after spending that money, I'd be broke, so that one game, it'd have to be a good game. And Midnight Club Los Angeles was that game for me on the Xbox 360. And if you're upset with nostalgia having a lot of impact, then, it's my video, so suck my butt. And suck it good. I was, and still pretty much am, a hardcore console gamer. My simple mind likes the fact that I can plug in something and play a video game, and I don't have to worry about anything else. I don't have to worry about a graphics card, getting the right computer with a certain amount of hertz. I don't have to make sure that the computer, I said computer, I meant monitor. I'm just a dumb idiot. Computers are difficult, man, and it's a lot of work to do things on it. I love my computer, but at the same time, that was a lot of work. With my PlayStation, I just plugged it in, and I hit a button, and it starts. Very simple. And the Xbox 360 is my favorite console of all time. I love the main menu, the HUD, I loved everything about it. I loved the avatar. I had a unicorn, which was sick. I love the profile pictures, the party chat, the messages, just everything about it.
Go and fucking crawl in the dirty, dank little hole where you fucking come from, you dirty, dragon-eating little fucking spastic.
It was simple, easy to access, and well organized. And then the Xbox One came out. That's all to say, when I got the 360, I was like 11 or 12. I didn't know you needed storage to save games. The 360 had like a couple gigabytes on it, and it was enough to download Midnight Club Los Angeles, but it wasn't enough to save the games. So what I had to do with Midnight Club after playing the first mission like 100 times, I was like, wait, I can just leave the console on, and then I won't lose my progress. And that actually worked. At the beginning of the game, you can unlock a couple of startup cars, which are all very cheap and just not that good. So I saved up my money to get the ones right after that one just because I didn't want to be a slow boy on the road. I got that car, and then I went to school one day, and either my mom or my dad turned off my Xbox. After the Xbox was turned off, I practically begged my dad for a flash drive. And he worked with computers, so he had some laying around. And I was like, can you spare 1 gigabyte, man? And he spared 3, which was really cool, because then I could download one more demo game. Where did all the game demos go? But once I got the flash drive from Midnight Club Los Angeles, I played that game religiously. It was also because this was back when my parents didn't really want me to game that much. So they were never the biggest fans of me getting a console with a controller like that. They liked the Wii because it was a party console, and the Xbox was, more of a single player console. At least for me, because I didn't have friends. My mom pays these guys, and the money's running dry, so. I credit my religious gameplay of Midnight Club Los Angeles as to why I'm so good at driving in GTA 5. A lot of my friends stopped playing races with me because they're like, you're too good, you gotta slow down and let us compete. I'm like, sounds like a skill issue to me. If you've never played it, I'd recommend snagging it. It's not that expensive, and usually you can find it on sale. The driving mechanics are fun, they feel good, and it is so rewarding beating people in races. And most of the time, the races are very, very close. At least to me, because I was a child. I got better. I'm a pro gamer now.
Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. What can I say about The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time that hasn't already been said? Literally the highest rated game of all time. And it had the huge responsibility of bringing Zelda to the third dimension, being the first 3D Zelda game. For the most part, Nintendo hit a home run. The story consists of both a coming-of-age story and saving the world, with a little bit of time travel. You start the game as a kid, but a quarter of the way through you actually jump ahead 7 years to play as an adult, where the world has taken a turn for the worst. It's your job to stop Ganondorf and restore peace to Hyrule. Being the first 3D Zelda game, Ocarina of Time did a good amount of things right. Z-targeting was introduced in this game, and it's still being used in modern installments. And this is the game that introduced Ganondorf, one of the greatest gaming villains of all time. In earlier games, Ganon was just a mindless beast focused on destruction. But Ganondorf was playing the long game. He uses his cunning to gain the King of Hyrule's trust. Zelda, on the other hand, sees through his lies. She sends Link on a quest to gather all the spiritual stones before Ganondorf can. However, this was a grave mistake. It simply expedited Ganondorf's plans of taking over Hyrule. Once gathering all the spiritual stones, the door of time opens, allowing Link to obtain the Master Sword, the only weapon that can truly defeat Ganondorf. However, Link is too young to wield it, so he actually jumps forward in time to an adult to be able to wield it. Within the time jump, Ganondorf actually sneaks into the Sacred Realm and steals the Triforce power for himself. He uses his newfound power to become the evil king and conquer Hyrule. It's now your job to free Hyrule from Ganondorf's reign. Not to mention, this is the game where the Zelda timeline actually splits into 3. Either the hero dies fighting Ganon, he defeats him and lives on as an adult, or defeats him and gets sent back in time, using his newfound knowledge to warn the King of Hyrule of Ganondorf's intentions. This is the canonical ending, it's the one you see in the game. However, in this timeline, Link isn't recognized for being a hero, because no one knows what he went through. Zelda Ocarina of Time is not only the highest rated game of all time, but it's also my favorite game of all time. It became a comfort game for me. I always play it at least once a year, and I constantly play the randomizer for it as well. It breathes a lot of fresh air into the game. It's a game that really sparked my interest in gaming. I always watched my dad fight Ganon at the end of the game, and it was such an epic moment. When I was old enough, I was finally able to beat him. The feeling was euphoric. It's also one of the few games in the series to receive a direct sequel in the form of Majora's Mask, which is essentially at the same tier as this game on my ranking, but I didn't have time to talk about it. I love that game too. It is amazing, and I don't want the whole list to be Zelda. The best way I could describe Ocarina of Time is an old friend that you can always come back to.
How we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Shut up!
Pokemon Go. Yeah, I didn't think that you thought I was going to add a mobile game into this, but Pokemon Go, and hear me out, has been a game that I've played for kind of a really long time now. It really kicked back up in 2018 for me, and the reason why is because it was just a game that allowed me to get outdoors and be really active, and it was fun just running to the nearest gym to do a raid with other people in the city too. Like there was like a Discord that people were in. It just gave a good sense of community. It brought the community together for something as silly as Pokemon, and for that's why it's on my list for me. Pokemon Go is an augmented reality mobile game initially developed and released by Niantic on July 6th, 2016, in collaboration with Nintendo and the Pokemon Company for iOS and Android devices. It uses the GPS on mobile devices to find, catch, train, and fight Pokemon, and it imitates the player's actual location. It was free to play, but there were a lot of microtransactions. But yeah, so that's my entire list. Immature list with some of the choices there, except for like Helldivers or something like that. It's a bit of an older game, but as someone who doesn't really play a huge variety of video games, those are just some of my comfort games and some of my favorite choices. So yeah, anyways, back to you, Bear. And thanks for having me on, by the way. My slime.
And those were our picks for some of the best video games ever. A nice variety of fruits to pick from, as we all grew up with something different. As did you, and I would love to hear your personal picks for the best games ever down below. If you enjoyed our picks or any of our yapping, then leaving a like really helps out. And if you enjoyed my yapping so much, then think about subscribing. Although I have to warn you that my channel is mainly horror and morbid stuff. So if you're younger, be gone. I'm just kidding, I'm not your parent. You want to see something scary?
I don't want to live in a hole anymore.
Big thank you to the boys for contributing to this video. I feel like my takes might get repetitive, so it's nice to have a different perspective. But more importantly, these are my good friends, especially when it comes to gaming. I have spent so many hours with them late at night just playing games, ruining our sleep schedules, and definitely making us die younger, but it's okay, because what does this world have to offer? Taxes? No thank you. Over the past 10 years, we've spent countless nights just playing games together. And if they weren't in happy relationships, we'd definitely be doing butt stuff. Instead, we play games. But it goes to show you the best part about gaming, the community around it. We can all love and enjoy these games together, as well as being able to compete, all while in the name of having fun. Alright, I think that's enough yapping. It's time to go back to being a capitalist slave. That's a fun note to end on.